There's just so much.
You're listening to a Mamamia podcast.
Mamamia acknowledges the traditional owners of land and waters that this podcast is recorded on. Hello and welcome to Mamamia Out Loud. It's what women are actually talking about on Wednesday, the 20th of March. I'm Holly Wainwright.
I'm Mia Freedman.
And I'm Jessie Stevens.
And on the show today, there have been alien abductions and affair rumours, induced comas and organ removal, but it seems we are finally over our Princess Kate conspiracy theories. So why has it taken us a little while to get to the Great Middleton mood shift? And a supermodel drinks some green sea moss and scarfs 14 different supplements before 6 a.m. and suddenly we're all feeling very insecure about our morning routines. And what would happen if famous women just stopped trying on the red carpet? Would the world end? Some celebrities are taking that stand. But first,
Out Louders, tomorrow's the day for subscribers to get early access to buy tickets for our live show. We have had a glorious week so far. We've been in dance rehearsals. We have been in singing rehearsals. Oh my goodness. It's not a musical, the show. It is the podcast, but live. It's a bigger show than we've ever done. It's called Mamamia Out Loud Live, presented by Nivea Cellular. And set your clocks because at 10 o'clock on Thursday in Sydney and Melbourne and 9 o'clock in Brisbane, tickets will go on sale for subscribers. Now, they might all sell out to subscribers. Hopefully they won't. Or hopefully they will, because maybe everybody will become a subscriber. Follow the link in the show notes if you don't want to miss out.
I think we're really frightening everybody that we are going to be, it is a musical.
It's really not a musical.
That's not what anyone asked for.
No, there's just a little bit of fun in there.
In case you missed it, it sucks to be 33. This is not a personal essay, although it could be, because I happen to be 33. But rather research conducted by the New York Times. The Daily released a podcast episode called It Sucks to be 33, and I feel incredibly vindicated. So while this is based on US data...
Why does it suck? What part of it sucks?
Well, I'm getting to that, but I just want to clarify. It's based on US data. I checked to see if it's relevant to Australia, and it is.
Okay.
So lucky I checked that. Because The Guardian also published an article about children born in 1990 have grown up in a more unequal Australia, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, jeez.
The argument. If you are 33, you were born in 1990 or 1991. I was born in 1990. You are what is being referred to as a peak millennial.
You're a peak millennial.
Peak millennial.
I knew that about
You're
you.
the basic bitches of millennials.
Yes. Which means that you are the largest age cohort inside the largest generation. So millennials, largest generation, most millennials born in those years. It's because of...
I shouldn't ask why they're the largest. That will be a rabbit hole, won't it? I won't ask why they're the largest
it's a
generation.
Great question.
Why are they
Sounds
the
like
largest
because
generation?
we are the kids of the baby boomers. So my parents were born in 59. So because there were a lot of baby boomers, then they had their babies.
Yeah, lots
Big
of
generation.
people.
Yep.
Got it. Right, thanks.
So why does it suck being us? It is because we keep stretching a system that is too small to accommodate us. So university, the rental market, the housing market, we were the generation that went and got a university degree and then worked in hospitality for 5 years. There weren't any jobs for us. The GFC happened just as we were leaving high school. There have been a number of policies that have made our lives harder. And now we are putting off children or not having them at all for a variety of reasons. But the one cited the most is that we don't feel we can afford them. I could go on. Mia, would you like to express your sympathies or send me a little gift or
So
a treat?
is it like a snake that ate a chicken? Like there's the system, which is the snake, and then the snake eats the chicken, which is your basic bitch generation.
So terrible analogy. You won't believe this, but the New York Times had a much better analogy, which was a sweater, otherwise known as a jumper.
Yeah.
And the jumper, you go in it and you stretch it.
Yeah.
And then when you leave, it's all misshapen and screwed up and everything.
Are you the floppy jumper?
Yeah, well, we're leaving a floppy jumper, but imagine putting on a jumper you don't quite fit in and you're really uncomfortable and you keep having to push the edges and bits are falling out because your hands
Because it doesn't fit.
Because it doesn't fit.
So isn't it then a problem for the next generation, Gen Z, who've got a stretchy jumper?
Well, Gen Z might have some more bloody jobs because we changed the job market for them.
Did you?
Yeah, we
Oh,
did.
that's nice.
And universities, and we change everything in our wake. But for us, it is especially difficult. So
Oh my
life
God.
is terrible if
They
you're born
have
in
been
1990.
validated. I don't like to generalise, But millennials, peak millennials, do like a whinge. And I feel you've just been validated, handed the whinge.
By the New York Times.
By the New York Times. But every generation has its challenges, Jessie.
Well, not what they're saying.
They're
it's
just
the worst
different
for us.
challenges.
No, you were fine apparently. It's millennials.
Could talk about this for a week. I'm making a note. We will return to this topic at a later date. The exes have things to complain about too.
Outlouders, head into wherever and just tell us why your generation has it harder than 33-year-olds.
I'm just looking at the facts and the statistics like I often do. It's great that you guys have feelings.
But remember the Zetas, we've been talking about it for weeks. They have it the worst because the phones have ruined their lives. Another week, another attempt by Kensington Palace to convince the world that there's nothing to see here. And this time it might work because the sound you can hear is the tide turning on the Kate Middleton conspiracy theories that have been obsessing us for weeks. Literally 1 week ago, I was at a work function and every single woman there just wanted to talk to me about this, and they all had their theory, and all the theories were quite complicated, very detailed, and required a lot of time. There were metaphorical spreadsheets and charts and, pointer things and it was a very involved thing.
I was talking to a friend yesterday who has a special pop-up WhatsApp group for her friends who are interested in theories about what's going on. And she said she's finding it quite hard to do the things she needs to do, like pick up her children from school and do her job because she needs to spend more time in that group.
Well, luckily for your friend, the obsession is receding. And it's hard to overstate just how big this obsession has been because if you think about it, we've seen it here at Mamamia. It was the story that everyone was clicking on last week. Everybody was listening to the shows where we talked about it and where the Quickie talked about it. But in the US, who usually aren't that bothered about royal stuff, they have been obsessed. Every news channel from the New York Times to every podcast, everyone's got a lens with which to look at it, this story. It swallowed the news cycle for a fortnight.
They were talking about it on ESPN, which is like the sports network.
Everyone's going, what's our angle? What's our take? Anyway, this week we had reports and then a video showing Kate at a country shop. She was carrying bags and she's smiling at William and she looks fine, which is the latest attempt from Kensington Palace to shut everybody up.
I hate to tell you this, but just before we came into the studio, TMZ have said we don't know if that footage is authentic.
Some committed tin hatters, including those people, are trying to insist it's not her. But this time, rather than being indulged, they're mostly being shouted at by people like me who are going, it's clearly her, move on, you morons. And this morning, we also woke up to the news that Kate's personal medical files at the London clinic where she spent time for her much analysed abdominal surgery have been breached by staff. Hospital staff have allegedly attempted to access private and confidential medical details belonging to Kate. It's not clear at this point if that attempt was successful, if they went anywhere, but it wouldn't really surprise anyone with the scale of this story that people are obviously being incentivized to really hack her privacy.
Which is terrible, to be clear.
It is absolutely terrible. And I think that this level, the sort of picking apart of that video and also this news about the medical information, everybody's kind of waking up from this trance we've been in for the past couple of weeks and going, hold on, we have been picking apart this human, this woman at the middle of a story. And it always takes us a while to remember that when we're obsessed with the celebrity story, that there's a person at the middle of it. The question is that as this wave recedes, what are we left with, Mia? What's it done to us? And
it's kind of a bit of a hangover, isn't it? Look, most people have said it's been a diversion, a bit of fun, which is an interesting thing and an understandable one when there's a lot of terrible news in the world. And sometimes, whether it's watching the Oscars or listening to some celebrity gossip, but at the heart of it, there's a real person, just as there was a real person at the heart of Charles and Diana, and there's a real person at the centre of every celebrity gossip story. I'm not comfortable with the idea of shaming people for their interest, though. I'm really not, because I think that it certainly hasn't been helped by the way it's been handled. by Kensington Palace. My favourite story of the week has been the royal family needs Tree Payne. Tree Payne is the gloriously named PR person who handles Taylor Swift's life. She's formidable and she's a professional. And it really seems that Kate has not been helped by those around her who are paid to help her.
100%. And they've got a really fancy guy, he's called Lee Thompson, who was, when he was hired 2 years ago, they made a big fuss about that because he was going to bring them into the modern century. He'd been the VP of comms at NBC in America and he was going to change everything. Not so much.
Yeah, I think they're just completely ill-equipped to deal with this age of social media where you can't just say something and expect people to accept it or provide people with a photo and expect them not to look closely at it.
I'm trying to work out what I think, because a doctored image that is published with the explicit purpose of us consuming it, that is proven to not be real, that's our business. And so
it's a real story.
It's a real story and it's our business. And it actually, in that case, did not become about her health. It became about manipulation. Potentially, I mean, it's an image of propaganda in that case because it's being manipulated to tell us someone's well and fine to pose for a photo if they're not. So to me, that totally changed the story. This iteration is making me increasingly uncomfortable because we are now so cynical, which is the result of the image, but also of the fact that we know videos and everything can be changed now, that I'm seeing The Cut and I'm seeing the LA Times say, did Kate Middleton really go to the shop? What a ridiculous headline that we wouldn't have seen months ago. In some ways, valid, because we've been tricked. But then on the other hand, I don't know what Kate Middleton can do now. Like, even if she did a Zoom, if she did whatever, people are going, she looks like herself, she doesn't. If the shape of her face has changed, as a lot of people said, I mean, surgery, medication,
recovery,
weight loss, weight gain, all of the things that happen with health issues are going to change the shape of your face.
Certain drugs can make you puffy or lose weight. Yeah.
And then you think, this is why the woman doesn't want you to see her.
Exactly.
Because when you do see her, you say, oh, she looks awful or she doesn't look well. Her being at the farmer's market too, I was looking at it going, this is all a bit bizarre because it's just an average guy who's sitting in his car recording her. And at first I was like, where's the paparazzi? But then I remembered that the UK tabloids cannot, there's a loophole, they cannot publish paparazzi images of the royals, but they can publish images taken by a civilian.
Yeah, but also what's a paparazzi in the current modern world? Because celebrity watchers in the UK will tell you there's actually far fewer paparazzi than there have ever been. Not just following the royals, but any celebrities. They're not hoarding outside restaurants and nightclubs and things anymore like they would have done 10 years ago because you don't need to. Like, phone footage is fine, you know.
So, Holly, this is what I can't work out. So the farmers market footage that was released, is that staged, do you think? Or is it a complete accident?
Of course
I don't believe it's necessarily staged.
Oh, Holly Wainwright.
I'm just over the conspiracy within the conspiracy within the conspiracy. The guy's from The Sun, right? It's The Sun exclusive, the video.
Oh, so he's Well,
no. I don't mean he's necessarily on the payroll. But if you go to The Sun, they've got an interview with the guy.
Yeah, right.
And he's like, I'm just an ordinary dad who just happened to be in the shop that day. And how ridiculous it is that everybody's really upset about this and whatever. Like, you know, okay,
But they also didn't have
I'm sure you didn't get paid and I'm sure you have nothing to do with The Sun, you know. But they're trying very hard to make it look like it wasn't a paparazzi image.
Yes, because there were no bodyguards and stuff around. Do the royals walk around?
They do. There would have been bodyguards for sure.
Okay, we just couldn't see it.
There would be like a person behind them, in front of them, in the car next to them. Like they don't walk around without protection, but their protection officers are very good at like distancing themselves.
I know a pap walk when I see one. Also, you have to remember that if you remember what happened with the Crown and with the famous tampon gate conversation between Charles and Camilla, that was just somehow picked up by a random person who was listening on his CB radio and just happened to intercept it that night. Now, there are ways to do that, and I'm not criticising them for this because I feel like they've been put in an impossible position where everything they've done has made it worse. So what has clearly needed to be done is people needed to see, which is ridiculous when you think needed, To stop speculation, people needed to see her and William together. She needed to be upright and moving. She needed to look good so people knew she was okay, and they needed to seem happy together so that, gets rid of any divorce rumours or that she's fled the palace or whatever. And she wasn't able to do a public appearance because, they said she wasn't going to do a public appearance. So it ticked every single box. It was completely staged, but I don't blame them for it.
But the only thing that makes me question that, because all of the things you said are true, of course, is the son. I don't know that that's who they'd give it to. Anyway, that aside, the thing that's interesting to me now is where they go from here. Our obsessions do fade. We are all obsessed with things in our 24-hour news cycle, aren't we, that suck up all our energy, fill up our group chats. I think this has been that, and so it will fade away. And, next time she comes out, obviously we'll keep talking about it. But what does it do to them long term? Because Kate has been relatively scandal-free, right? With the exception of the brickbats that have been thrown their way from the Harry and Meghan fallout and Harry's book, she's been relatively scandal-free and relatively well-liked. There's no question that this now just becomes a massive data point in their story. Any conversation around William and Kate now has to reference this. It's also, because you're right, Jessie, about the idea that the press do have quite a lot of guardrails around them about the royals in Britain. But because this story has been so globally enormous, you can't argue it's not public interest anymore. So it's open season on them, really, when it comes to going after sources about whether or not William really is cheating with the lady who lives in the castle down the road, or whether or not it's kind of really screwed all that up. It's got to be rebuilt. It'll take some time. Do you think we'll all still be obsessed with what's going on with Kate Middleton in a month?
Well, I hope everyone's still obsessed on Monday, because I've got my first episode of the season for No Filter on Monday. It's an interview with the royal reporter who worked for BuzzFeed News and covered the royals for 10 years. Really important to explain the difference between a reporter, who is a journalist, and someone who just speculates and indulges in royal gossip. And we speak about that. It's not about the conspiracy theories, but it's about the coverage of this and what's been going on behind the scenes and with media and journalists. I learnt a lot, including why it would have been that the Sun would have got those images. But she also says some really interesting things about conspiracy theories and what they've done.
I think their brand is irreparably damaged. I think the institution itself has lost our trust in that institution, and this is from Australia. I think Britain is the same. I think that our trust in whatever images, whatever stories are pushed out, if Harry and Meghan chipped away at it, this is the building crumbling.
Don't you think, though, and I totally get you, Mia, when you say we shouldn't be shamed for the speculation, but just like, in the post-Diana era when everybody suddenly felt really icky about the paparazzi images they'd been looking at and supporting with their dollars, and at Mamamia we don't run paparazzi images and all those things, don't you think that we do all need to take a bit of a look at ourselves and go, what did we just all do to that woman?
Yeah, probably.
If you're looking for some inspiration for your morning routine, may I present to you model Bella Hadid. Her morning routine has gone absolutely viral on TikTok, and I'm going to explain to you how it goes. You can watch the video, but I think my recap will be more enjoyable.
It definitely will. There's no sound on the video. I was upset about that. She doesn't talk you through it.
No, I would like some explanations. We begin with 3 droplets of something ambiguous into a glass, then a pour from a mysterious white bottle. The potion at this point is the colour of urine, quite an undiluted yellow urine. Then she downs 15 supplements with a fresh green juice.
Like pills?
Pills. This is not an exaggeration. I paused the video and I counted the pills in her hand. And it was hard because there were some pills hiding under other pills, and I had to count with my finger. She might have already had a urine-coloured mixture and a green juice, but now it's time for her Gold Sea Moss Gel.
What?
Yeah. Gold Sea Moss Gel.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Fulvic Detox from
Volvic? She detoxed her vulva?
It's not Volvic.
Fulvic with an F.
Fulvic.
Fulvic. Fulvic. I've never said this before.
What's a vulva?
Don't ask questions. We don't know.
Is it near your vulva?
Maybe. Maybe it's the fold near your vulva.
Your vulva.
It definitely needs detoxing if it's that.
Yeah. Fulvic Detox from Mother Earth Labs.
Do you do that with Moss Gel as well, or it's a different thing?
Different thing.
Different thing. The gold Moss Gel, it looked thick. I didn't like that. And on it says the word cleanse. but she's still thirsty because now it's time for a liquid tonic trace minerals.
She's had so many drinks.
Well, it's from Utah's inland sea.
Oh, well, that's different
So
then.
it's very different.
Yeah.
I had to rewind a few times at this point because she has a bite of something that appears to be a croissant.
She does. Real food.
Real food.
Yum.
Or if I'm Mia, croissant.
A croissant?
It's so annoying.
She could have spread her
croissant.
sea moss gel on the croissant. Would have been a lot better.
And she only has one bite because I'm like, are we eating the whole croissant? And I don't know. I think eat before supplements, but what would I know? Then there are crystals and more drinks.
What does she do with the crystals?
Just films them. They're just there for the vibe and the
Okay.
energy. She has a drink called kin euphorics, and it says something because I paused and then zoomed in. It says something about a modern ritual. So
What does she do with that?
drinks it.
She's going to have to do a lot of ways.
lot of
I
ways.
know. Then she does what I suppose is like a fragrance or something. There's like a bunch of essential oils, including one that says cinnamon. And then she puts it on her and then she smells and she looks deliriously happy because she smells so good. Then she does a big stretch.
Like a
She's
puppy.
Like a puppy. And we
Big
cut,
stretch.
Big stretch.
and then we cut to a lighter. And I was like, she's going to go and puff on a cigarette like models do. No. It's the biggest bunch of sage I've ever seen.
She's clearing
The bad
the
energy.
bad
Which I
energy.
thought the crystals would do. But no, you also need the sage. She clears her space before showing us her leather journal and a pen, which I take to mean she's going to journal, potentially the gratitude kind.
I've got just such an aversion to journaling and people who journal. Because they talk
People
about
say
it.
it changes their
People-
life.
Yeah, but they talk about it a lot. It's kind of like vegans. And don't come for me, vegans, because I am almost one of you. But just stop talking about it. Just stop talking
But
about
they
the
want to tell
journaling.
you because it makes them
I
feel
don't-
so much
I
better.
just don't want to hear about it.
They wanna
sounds like-
eat a
Who's got
start to
time
help you?
to write in a book?
Okay.
Just text your friends.
You write on the internet. Maybe you could try some gratitude.
No, what's the point? If no one reads it, what's the point? It's a waste of time.
True. You need to see a therapist. Now, you absolutely will not believe this, but Bella appears to be launching a brand,
Yes.
and it's called
Fake news, this is.
Oribella. Oribella.
Arabella.
Oribella.
Sounds like horrible.
Oribella. The trademark application covers a wide range of products from fragrance, scented body and hair care, incense, and reed diffusers.
I want to know which brand is coming up with all the brands for the celebrities like American Riviera, Orchard, Montecito, Oribella.
People have to pay a lot of money for these
good.
brand doctors.
I think these brand doctors are having a laugh.
I think they are.
I think they think this is very funny. Holly, in what ways is this like your morning?
It's exactly like I saw it and I was like, me too, Bella.
Me too.
Me too. Look, it is fake news because I think what she's actually trying to say is that now that she has been working on this brand, she doesn't have to take the 14 supplements. I think that's what she's trying to
Really?
say. Also, she does have a chronic illness, so she probably takes more supplements than most people.
What does she have?
She has
Lyme
Lyme
disease.
disease. And she's been battling it 15 years and she says it's, completely changed her life. So she probably does take more supplements than most, but I do just need to put a PSA out there that everybody stop with so many supplements, okay? It's not always good for you. I have tried this many times when I watch a video like this and I get really into it and I order all the supplements because I think it's going to fix all my problems and then I end up with a kidney stone. Don't do it, people.
I have quite a
Just
few
don't do it.
supplements. I reckon at night I take 6 or 7, and I can't remember why I take any of them.
Supplements are very. I don't take any
Well,
supplements.
this
But,
is
I just weigh them out.
This
if
is the
I
thing,
don't need
right?
them.
I mean, obviously we're not doctors, so don't take your medical
Speak for
advice from
yourself.
us. But it's a very effective marketing campaign because women have all these kind of I just don't feel right things going on.
Yeah.
Like my energy's low, I just don't feel right. And I am very susceptible to a goopy or bellery, like your life could look like this, you just need this powder. I'm very susceptible to that. Not always good.
No,
sometimes bad.
Gwyneth sells a ton of vitamins on Goop.
She does. But I have been trying lately to fit in apple cider vinegar because every podcast I listen to is like, apple cider vinegar, apple cider vinegar. I'm like, sure, Bella didn't do that. Anyway, this isn't just women, by the way. That interview we talked about a while ago with Dax Shepard and Bradley Cooper, they spent 20 minutes discussing their morning routines. It involves meditation. It involves journaling. It involves ice baths. It involves smoothies with all the powders in it. It's not just women. This is everybody. And the thing is, my morning routine looks a lot more sane than it did when I had little kids. I remember years ago I wrote a story for Mamamia called All the Things I've Done Before 9 a.m. And it was one of the most viral stories I ever wrote. And in that I was like, I have wiped 3 different bottoms before 8 o'clock in the morning. and only one of them was mine. My morning used to look just this. And these days I do, if I'm home, get up early, walk the dog. I do get to do that. But then I'm making breakfast for everybody. I'm packing school bags. I'm trying to get someone to do their homework. I'm getting it where would I have time for all of this? I just want one supplement. But then the other day I was talking to one of our colleagues who I was saying to her, you look so healthy lately. You look so great. She's been getting up at 4. She's been getting up at 4 to go for an hour walk and then to do da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da before she gets on the train to come to work. And I'm like, Bella walks amongst us. Bella Hadid is everywhere.
Does that person have kids?
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't do anything for anyone in the morning except myself.
How do you get
Not
away
one
with that?
thing.
This is some kind of magic alchemy that I'm just so impressed
You've
with.
just got to keep people's expectations really low as early as you can and keep them low. No, I have a morning routine for sure. So
What do you do?
I wake up, either me or someone lets the dogs out early. Then I need to get tea into me within 20 minutes of opening my eyes. And then I look at my phone. And
Then
while
you
I
look
drink
at,
my
I can't
tea-
believe you haven't looked at your phone yet.
Yeah.
No, I don't look at my phone until I'm drinking my tea.
You're amazing. You're so
Unless
evolved.
my husband's bringing me my tea and he's a little bit slow, and then I look at my phone while I'm waiting for my tea. Then I drink my tea while looking at my phone. Then I will go on the treadmill. Then I will get off the treadmill and make my green smoothie.
Kate Bella Hadid.
Then I will have my shower. I will not journal. I will sometimes speak into my phone and make an Insta bubble. while putting on my makeup.
Yes, you do that.
Yeah. I'll dry my hair, I'll get dressed, and then I leave my house.
That's actually not
That's
a
my
bad
morning routine.
So I know that now your children are grown up, right? So they can, but when they were small, didn't you have to feed them, dress them, get them out that
Not really. I encourage their independence quite
very,
early.
very capable
Highly
children.
recommend that.
With Bella Hadid, there's a moment on this because I obviously watched the ad for Orabella 10 times and it's her face and then she's got these kind of bluey model eyes.
She's got very nice eyes.
Yeah, and then they zoom in and in her eyes it's just an ocean of freshness because she's so cleansed.
I think
Her
it's the sea
vulva.
moss.
Yeah.
She's got a very clean for vulva.
She does. She's
It
detoxed
does.
it. And I just thought, I mean, that's what you're selling, right? Is there's this clean girl beauty aesthetic where and everyone's like, you're glowing, you're
It's
glowing.
my favourite thing.
And she's like, her skin looks dewy and she's got these really, really clear eyes. But we're not selling that anymore. You've got to be just as clear in your intestines and in your bowel and stuff.
This
And your
totally
vulva.
worked on me, all this. If I'm feeling a bit shitty, I'm entirely convinced it's because my insides are filthy and they need a good scrub out.
True.
And Bella's doing that with her sea moss.
She is. I can't wait to be sold to. This is going to be the really fun next chapter in the Bella Hadid story.
I'd shout a lot in the morning. I don't know when they do that. Like there's a lot of teeth, shoes, teeth. And Matilda, who obviously doesn't need me to dress her anymore, but she'll spend 14 hours putting on her mascara, whatever. And I'm just like, bus, school, I'm just random words.
I liked one of our colleagues when we were talking about this today. She's got 3 little kids. Her morning routine is shouting at everybody and then slamming the door as she leaves
Yes.
to catch the bus.
Get it.
Want unlimited Out Loud access? We drop episodes every Tuesday and Thursday exclusively for Mamamia subscribers. Follow the link in the show notes to get us in your ears 5 days a week. And a huge thank you to all our current subscribers.
For most people, getting your hair and makeup done and maybe wearing a new outfit is a little treat. Maybe it's for a wedding. Maybe it's for your wedding or some kind of special occasion. Maybe you're a guest at a wedding or you've got a special birthday party. But if you're a woman in the public eye, particularly if you're an actress, these things are not little treats. They are simply part of your day job. And this is all thanks to the beauty standards of our culture, which of course dictate the way that women must look if they want to appeal to a wide audience. There is so much labour, mental, physical, financial, all of that's required. An actress, Busy Phillips, who is 44, spoke about this while on the red carpet promoting the new season of her show Girls 5 Ever. Here's what she said.
Even the girls and I were having this conversation earlier about just like hair, makeup, and wardrobe and what it costs. And I was like, and Taraji really spoke to that. And I felt it so deeply because I look at the amount of money that I'm supposedly making. And then I look at the bills and what's expected of, and not just the bills, it's what's expected of me when I show up at a place, you know?
Fly.
Yeah, and it's like, well, okay, but this film company or this production company is only going to pay this percentage of your hair, makeup, and wardrobe, so you have to make up the rest. So then you're thousands of dollars out of pocket, and then at the end of the day, it's just like, well, what am I doing? I was saying to Renee, I was like, we should just show up a mess at one of these things and be like,
Have a broke moment?
oh, I've had so many. I write about it in my book.
I love that. I thought that was so interesting because what happens if a famous woman like Busy said dares to challenge those beauty standards? Like, I know this wasn't her idea, but like Kate Middleton looking a bit puffy while sitting in the car after surgery, or Pamela Anderson walking a red carpet at a fashion show without makeup. What happens is that they become international news because they are so incredibly different to the images that we usually see of famous women. And it doesn't just apply to actresses, of course. Former PM Julia Gillard has spoken about it. So has journalist Lee Sales. They've talked about this time and money tax that women must pay when their male counterparts can lie red-faced and scruffy on the footpath without anyone commenting on their appearance. Jessie, you were on Q&A this week on the ABC. What did that involve for you that it didn't for the men on the panel? Because that's quite a good comparison.
Yeah. And Q&A, similar to the project, and I was kind of reminded of it, is that makeup will involve sort of skin prep and then foundation, contouring, blush, eyeshadow, liner, eyelashes. Often to get the colour even, they'll end up doing your neck and your chest.
So at least an hour in the chair,
and then
is
your
it?
hands and everything. Yeah, usually about an hour. And then obviously hair curled, all that kind of stuff. And then I noticed I was kind of in the chair and I was just having my hair finished. And then a guy who was going to basically sit next to me on the panel came in and they were like, oh, what do you normally do with hair? And he's like, oh, this is what it normally looks like. And she's like, cool, I'll just leave that. And then gave him a bit of a powder, right? Like in the time that it takes
wild when you think about it.
Yeah, in the
Less than
time
10
that it
seconds.
takes me on the project, they can do all of male hosts. And I mean, it's so socialised that you barely even bat an eyelid at it anymore. And if they said to me, well, do you want to spend the same amount of time as the man in the chair? I'd say, no, I want this.
And also they wouldn't rebook you
well, the thing
because
is,
of the way you'd look on television.
the barrier for
People would
entry
complain.
is like all you want. I do not want or need to look beautiful. I just want to look normal. My thing is that I don't want people to go when they, when they
that's
see
what
me.
a beauty standard is.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
When I say people will complain, I don't mean because you're in any way unattractive if you weren't wearing makeup and didn't have
It'd be
your
a
hair
shock.
done. But it would be so outside the realm of what women look like on TV. And what I've noticed when I used to do TV is at one point I realised I spend more time in hair and makeup than I do on the television.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
loads more. And as I've sat in the chairs and watching all the newsreaders and the journalists and the other people coming and going, it's ramped up and ramped up. It's like this arms race. So it's not enough that you have to spend an hour in the chair. And if you're doing breakfast television, it means you have to get up at
earlier.
3 o'clock, like even Jackie O doing breakfast radio now, which is filmed. She has to get up an hour earlier to do all her glam. Kyle doesn't. But now it's not just that you get hair and makeup done. Now it's also fake lashes. It's also fake tan. It's also hair pieces, plus. And then it's everything you wear. And what Busy Phillips was talking about, and again, Outlouders could be listening to this saying, oh, tiny violin for all the famous people on TV. But when we're talking about the workplace, the way women have to wear makeup, wear certain clothes, wear different clothes, the maintenance required to just be a woman in the world, not a woman on TV, not a woman who's the Prime Minister. It's completely unequal.
And to go to events, there's a lot of workplaces. I mean, you know, even teachers will have sort of certain events during the year, say parent-teacher or whatever, where it's like you need a particular kind of outfit. Or, you know, if you are going to an event that's a dinner and you need it and it's black tie or something, for some people, men and women, they'll quite like that and they find it exciting. There is an enormous cohort of people that are like, the mental load and the work that is going to have to go into me doing this is horrible, and it's just so much larger for women.
Do you think that men wear their best undies when they go to the doctor? You know how if you got to go to the gyno or whatever, you think, I better find some nice undies. I bet men don't think that.
I bet they don't. I really bet they don't. This blows my mind, right? Because of course it's true. Like we've heard this before. Like it's amazing to hear you, Jessie, talk about all those things that happen and obviously it's real. You go, when you think about that, the amount of time it takes for a woman to be deemed acceptable to be on a screen, it's kind of
Yeah, ridiculous.
But the thing is that I think that and obviously this is social media's fault, like everything, I'm sure. Now, normal people think they have to have a glam squad too, right? Like the whole notion of a glam squad is only a relatively recent thing, but weddings, any kind of, and I don't mean wedding you're in, but like weddings you're going to.
Yeah, formals, girls going to their formals.
More and more people will go and get their makeup done professionally now, get their hair done professionally now for the pictures, because the pictures are so much more widespread than they ever were when I was a kid or when I was younger or whatever. The thing that's so mind-boggling about what Busy Phillips says is we assume that people aren't paying for all that. But of course somebody's paying for all that. Your stylist has to get paid. She's not doing it out of the kindness of her heart. Your makeup artist has to get paid. The people who are doing your hair have to get paid. And sure, if you're a mega wealthy celebrity, you won't notice that. But if you're a low-level celebrity, well, when I say low-level, you know. And
when you're not loaded.
And the film companies aren't bankrolling the whole production on your name. They're like, well, if you want to look like that, it's out of your pocket. But you're in a catch-22 because you're like, but if I don't look like that, I have to almost make a big decision about it. The idea of seeing a red carpet where all the women just looked like they'd made just enough effort to go to work. Like I put on more makeup and think about what I'm wearing way more when I'm going to work than I do when I'm hanging around at home. But like imagine that I just put on jeans and a nice top and a bit of mascara and went to the red carpet.
I'd love it.
It would be mind-boggling. Well, I'd love it and I wouldn't because I bloody love getting my makeup done. The version of me that I see when it comes back to me is like, wow. But then it's so depressing because you're like, I could look like that.
I'll do anything to avoid it,
I know you would,
as you know.
But we're different like that. And I think, but that's also because it's still a relatively rare occurrence for me, right? I do it sometimes for work, sometimes for a photo shoot. There is a photo of me going to a wedding that I was reminded of on Facebook the other day that was 8 years ago where I looked like peak hot because I'd had my makeup done and my hair done. Every time I see my mother, she brings that picture up. She goes,
She's saying,
when you went to Kim's wedding, oh my God, that dress. Oh my God, your hair. You just looked so great. And my mum, who I love to bits, but she never tells me I look great anywhere, ever. Like it's just not her thing. She'll find a reason to talk about the picture of me at a wedding 8 years ago.
what's the subtext? What a shame you don't ever look like that in real life.
I think the subtext is like, wow, I didn't think you did look like that. And it's like, I don't look like that. You know, we are all, of course, massively internalized that looking beautiful and hot is somehow like something to be congratulated on. We worship it, right? It's like Bella Hadid, we were just talking about it. She's beautiful. We treat that like an achievement when actually she has nothing, it has nothing to do with her. Whereas getting your hair and makeup done and making an effort, it does have to do with you. You're making the most of what you've got. You're hustling. You're putting your best foot forward, all that stuff. So it's like you should be congratulated on
Bella
it.
Hadid's had quite a lot of surgery, so that's what's
She was
interesting
beautiful
too.
before. Or maybe she's not a good example, but people who are born beautiful, we treat it like that was in this, and you could argue it's the same people who are born with a high IQ. It's got nothing to do with them. It's just genetics. But it's like you're born beautiful and we're all like, we worship it. Whereas for your average person, we can change our degree of hotness to society with a lot of intervention from paid professionals. So why don't you do it?
We just
are
have
you a bit
to
lazy?
It's a burden.
Little treats.
A little treat?
The little treat.
Today's little treat comes from an out louder called Kim. And Kim says that she had to do knit treatments for kids before school today. That was her morning routine.
Hard relate.
There was no sea moss. There was nothing from the inland sea of Utah. There was just knits. And she had to sort that out. And then she subsequently had to wash all of the things that were no doubt infested with the knits. Then she had to finish off some work. And then she said, while I'm eating lunch, I'm going to watch The Expats. That's going to be her little treat. What is The Expats?
It's that show with Nicole Kidman in it. It's about expats.
Oh, yeah. Have you ever wanted to blame your parents for problems you have? Holly just did.
I just did.
And
Sorry, Mum.
yesterday we spoke about this idea of parental fragility, which came from a conversation Glennon Doyle had on a podcast. And here's a little bit of that conversation that we had.
At my age and having been a parent myself for 15 years, as I know that you have for longer than that, Mia, I have way more empathy for my parents than I did probably when I was younger because now I understand. Whereas I have friends who had more difficult childhoods, and becoming a parent has made them more furious with their parents because they're like, I would never do that to my child. Whereas I don't think there are, and I know how lucky I am to say this out loud, I don't think there are that many things that I feel that way about. Like, I think that my parents, I mean, the cliche, they did their best, but also they loved me. That's the main thing.
We will put a link to that episode in the show notes. This is one of the ones that we like to talk about, things that are maybe a little bit more private on subs episodes, things that are a little bit more personal, things that we might not want to put out into the big wide world.
And the reason we wanted to do a subscriber episode 2 was because we couldn't stop arguing about it. And we still can't agree on it.
There's an absolutely brilliant comment from an Out Louder in the Out Louders group who said that they loved listening to that. When it comes to their parents, they want to be like Mia and get them to take accountability for all the things they screwed up. But when it comes to her children, she wants to be like me and for them to never say that she ever did anything wrong until we all die.
That's how I feel.
Thank you for listening to Australia's #1 news and pop culture show. We love having you with us as always. This episode was produced by Emeline Gazilas. The assistant producer is Tahli Blackman. We've had audio production by Leah Porges, and I'm going to eat a mini Easter egg now.
Bye. Shout out to any Mamamia subscribers listening. If you love the show and want to support us as well, subscribing to Mamamia is the very best way to do so. There is a link in the episode description.